My father's words ring out. Go now, make me proud. Take all that I have, all the good, all the bad. I've tried way too hard to find out what I'm about, but the waves tore me apart.
Hi. It looks like it's just you and me, Wander. Does that mean we can do Webkin's voice lines back and forth at each other like we were doing on DMs before? Well, I guess I can still ask you how you're doing. How are you doing? You're tired? I am too, a little bit. Well, today we're going to... Well, why did you go to bed at 4? You dangus? Minecraft. You utter dingus. Well, today we've got to unravel whatever the dingus dongus just happened yesterday. We're going to work through that. And it'll be a whole entire time. They fucking murdered bro. Muzz was right. They Yoshikage Kira'd his ass. They fucking esplonded him. He's gone. Very much deserved. So, today we are going to go ahead and, I guess, unpack that a little bit. Probably, maybe. I don't know. You tell me. I want chocolate, dude. Well, I don't have a whole ton to say. I went to Soda's today. And that was nice. Had some good food. And, you always want chocolate. Yeah, that's kind of... Given who our mother is, that's kind of not surprising. We definitely get that from her. Well, I'm gonna just jump right into it, honestly, because, I don't have a whole lot to say, and I don't really see the point in trying to delay. Any more than today's stream already has been. Haha, jokes. Funny junk. So, I'm just gonna jump right in, because I imagine Soda and Muzz are busy, hanging out together, if not hanging out with the rest of Soda's family. So I'm not gonna like wait around for them or nothing. Whoa, oh, oh. I like that song. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump right in and say welcome to the 52nd installment of Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series. And when I say 52nd, I don't mean it's going to last for 50 seconds. It's gonna be quite a bit longer than that. But anyway, nobody's new here, but if they were, I would tell them, hi, I'm Harper, read the rules. Your Words Destroyed My Planet by Unda is a 1 million word homestuck fic that focuses on Dave Soulcat. You know the drill. You know the drill. This is an AU set in a future where Earth and Alternia have been consumed by a mysterious force known as the Void, and humans and trolls have escaped on spaceships for their survival. As of now, the fic is currently unfinished, but don't even worry about it. Just read it anyway. It's fine. In this stream series, I aim to read the entire fic out loud by myself because I'm autistic and crazy. Both of those things are separate, I would like to make clear. I'm not crazy because I'm autistic. The craziness was separate. Please take note of the tags on this fic. Here they are. Look at them. They can light up. They can turn red. Whee! So take a look at those. Make sure, just take care of yourselves. You be aware that you may be in for the discussion of some sensitive topics. Do whatever you need to do in that regard. Or do nothing. If you don't need to do anything in that regard, then just chill, I guess. I don't know. You can do whatever you want forever. I can't stop you. I'm not in charge here. I say on my channel. If I'm not in charge on my channel, then who is? That's scary, actually. You know what? I take it back. This is my channel, and I would like to be in charge of my channel, just, for safety purposes. But, I can't control your every action, so do whatever, I guess. Unless it goes against the chat rules. You can't break the chat rules. That's why they're there. Anyway, if you would like to read back approximately what I just said, you can type !fic about in chat. That's a good thing to do in case anyone new shows up to sort of give them an idea of what the fuck is going on here. If you would like a link to the fic itself on AO3, you can use !fic link. That's pretty useful if you wanted to hit the old subscribe button, if you wanted to follow along on your own screen, if you wanted to send it to a friend. You can do all those things and more by getting the link to Chapter 1 using !fic link. And then !fic song is a brief explanation of a very special feature of these streams, which is the pre-recorded song sequences. This command sadly cannot tell you which song is currently happening, but that's okay because they're in my brain. Not the song titles are in my brain. I should be clear on that. !fic sorry is just a couple of little disclaimers / apologies. I'm not perfect, and this project does not have the polish that I know I could give it if I wanted it to take 20 years to complete. I didn't want it to take 20 years to complete. Therefore, I have cut those corners, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And also, I'm a monolingual fuck. So, sorry. And finally, you can use !VODs to get a link to my YouTube archive, where I will be putting every VOD for this series, as well as anything else I might stream. I was so close to, playing and streaming Pikmin last night. I might still do that at some point. I don't know. But yeah, I try to put the VODs up pretty much just right after stream. So if you're ever wondering, hey, where's the VOD? Then it probably means that I started it uploading, but it didn't finish processing and checking before I got bored and walked away. And probably all I need to do now is check over it and then hit publish. But typically, it doesn't take more than a couple of hours for the VOD to go up, so don't even sweat it, bro. Don't even worry about it. It's like fine. I'm so normal. Don't worry. I'm just stalling. I was clearing some stuff. Okay. Well, that's about it for things that I could say before stream. So why don't we just do the stream? Ladies and gentlemen, whatevers. Mostly just Wander, but also anyone else in the future. Hi, future people. Whose face is that? Okay. There's a random face in my chat. Anyway. Anyway. All of this to say, it is now that time, everybody. And that time is it's the time for Your Words Destroyed My Planet. Chapter 52. What the fuck? You say, not for the first time. That's not normal, is it? That's not even weird, right? That's just straight up impossible. Karkat checks with the others. What the fuck? You say. Yeah, we're up to our eyeballs in impossible lately. Gamzee nods. What the fuck? You whine as you look at the floor where Bro had disassembled, died. What do you even call that? That the fuck, Dave. Are you done panicking? Can we figure out what just happened? Aradia asks loudly. Or do both at once, Solix suggests. Because of course he does. Gamzee leans back in the booth seat and sighs. Behind him, GHB is looking around eagerly, as if more ghosts might show up from nowhere and do more entertaining murders for his benefit. Let's start at the top and work our motherfucking way down as methodically as can be, Gamzee says, after a second of barely tolerating his ancestor. That sounds like a plan. Karkat nods. That was my uncle, and, well, Bro called her Mom, you say uncertainly, thinking of the two ghosts that had pinned Bro's screaming body to the table so he could be killed. Maybe not killed. Hopefully not killed, since you need him. Gamzee's right. You need to start at the beginning. Stop panicking like some new recruit freaking out on their first mission. You know better than this. Shut that shit down and focus. Sophia. That was his mother. Rosa was his great-grandmother. I think I know her, but I don't remember knowing her. That's about as much sense as I can make that information make. Solix adds in. The part of you that's time-traveling must have met her then, Aradia concludes. I think she was past Dave's ghost, Solix says. That should be a guess, but you don't think it is. None of us summoned them, and we sure as shit didn't drag in all those other ghosts, you point out. I think sending out a call in the great beyond to get some revenge on Bro would bring in some numbers, but I can't figure out how ghosts could make that kind of a call. Gamzee agrees. He's probably seen several of their faces in your nightmares. Damara starts talking, and the light-aligned balancers listen to her, and then to Signless as he chips in with his own thoughts. Signless was saying that unfinished business would be a pretty strong call. Gamzee's right about that. But he was never able to manifest like that when he wasn't attached to me, Karkat tells you all. And Amara points out that untethered ghosts shouldn't be able to square up to any balancer ghost, much less Bro. Even catching him by surprise shouldn't be enough. He was fighting them, and he wasn't as strong as they were. Aradia supplies. This doesn't make any goddamn sense at all. I'd ask if them being balancers had anything to do with it, but there was a balancer ghost on the sidelines. Her, there. Solix points over at Silem's portrait, and she didn't rip Bro apart. She looked like she wanted to, but she didn't do it, so I don't think balancing could be the key thing here.
Damara's going to be a balancer, same as Reader. Neither of them were stronger than any of our ghosts that weren't balancers.
You agree. Signless isn't all that powerful, aside from that horrible shattering trick he used on Bro. One that you hope your family doing to extremes hasn't killed him for good. The point is that Signless wasn't a balancer, and neither was Psionic, but their power levels are completely different. Matuna arguably was a balancer, even if he didn't get a chance to do anything with it, and it probably wasn't natural, but he's not any stronger than Damara, who will balance one day. It's not a variable that seems to change anything. Alright, let's leave aside the whole ghosts suddenly murdering people thing. Aradia begins.
We don't know he's dead for good yet.
Gamzee cuts in. He hates Bro almost as much as you do, but he also knows why you can't deal with losing him.
I hope he's not dead. I want to see that again.
GHB purrs in dark delight. Gamzee's eye twitches, and he raises his hand threateningly.
Oh, you gonna make me go? You've got no Bro. You need me.
GHB rumbles as he leans close into Gamzee's face. Gamzee freezes. With you ghostless, it's just him and Solix who can control the dark. You can see GHB's mental puppet strings in Gamzee's head. If he takes GHB out, then it's all on Psionic's somewhat unstable shoulders, and what's more is the fact that GHB might choose to not play nice. He might pull another stunt like he did when the rest of you were on Somnos. He's not above that. With fewer options, he has more power over Gamzee. This is a fucking nightmare. You are in a waking nightmare. Thankfully, for both you and Gamzee, you guess, Psionic takes that choice out of Gamzee's hands by throwing himself at GHB and throwing him across the room. The fight is short, with GHB retreating before Psionic can banish him. Psionic chooses not to follow him and instead returns to Solix's side, clearly more invested in what's going on right now. Aradia frowns at the whole situation and then gets back on track with a shake of her head and her calm words. Leaving all of that aside, what about the message that Rosa was clearly trying to give us? The door, the number 10, and those coins? It seemed like she was saying that the 10 lights on the door and the coins are connected, but we're only up to 8 lights so far, right? Or is my count off? Karkat asks with a frown. It was 8, and that was 8 coins, too. 4 from us, 3 from them, 1 from Bro. Aradia nods.
Yeah, that's another thing,
you say with a frown.
How come all of you had one, and all my family here had one, but I don't?
You did give me that $1 earlier. Solix grins, his sharp teeth flashing in the dim bar light to highlight the perpetual menace to your sanity that he is.
I didn't give you a magic eyeball dollar, you groan.
I'm ignoring your stupid conversation, Karkat says loudly. You literally just acknowledged it, Solix points out. Karkat ignores that, in favor of continuing. But are we to assume, then, that the more lights show up around the door, the more coins we get? Or do we have to find the last 2 coins before the door finishes lighting up? Aradia asks grimly. Both are plausible, but you like her idea less. That doesn't make it less likely to be true, though.
Sure, but back to my thing. The thing you 4 all have in common is being balancers. The thing those 4 all had in common was being my family, or being related to Bro, if you want to put it like that instead. Why am I not included? You ask. That's not the only thing we have in common. We're all trolls and you're not, for one thing. They were all dead. That was something they had in common, but you don't. Karkat points out. I don't think you get magic coins for not being human. That seems kind of racist, you exclaim in frustration. Signless adds something to that, but you don't know what, and given that he's got DNA in common with Cancri, you don't care to know either. Seeing as you are their family, and Rosa, that was her name. She seemed pretty interested in you, and obviously knew who you were, so maybe it is tied to the light numbers around the door, and yours just ain't available yet? Gamzee shrugs. That does make sense. She might have been looking at him to imply that he'd be next. Karkat agrees. There's a few seconds of silent and independent thought, and then Aradia gives voice to the idea that's been screaming in panic at the edge of your mind. Or, you're not a dead strider, and you're not a balancer, she says. That's not... Solix starts, but freezes. All of them, balancer and ghost alike, turn to look at you. Gamzee's isn't with him right now, but he has one all the same. Do you? Do you still have one? Are you still a balancer? It's way too soon to try pulling him back, Gamzee says sensibly. Can you even separate a balancer and their ghost? You said to Dirk and Roxy that it couldn't be done. That as long as you were alive, then you'd have Bro. He'd only die if you did. You're alive. I didn't hear you die. Solix points out, as if you being alive was the question here. Did you hear Bro die? Karkat asks. Have you ever heard a ghost die? Aradia adds. No, I haven't. Solix admits. I don't feel any different than I did before. I don't feel unhaunted. I won't be able to get Bro back right now, but that doesn't prove anything. I don't think you can separate ghosts from balancers. I've never seen it done or heard of it. Besides, Bro and GHB have murdered each other over and over. Psionics killed him plenty of times, and Signless even did that same shattering thing too. He always came back, you point out. You're right, and we can't prove anything now. I wish I could see those coins again. Aradia sighs and leans back in the booth seat. All of the coins had faded from view when the ghosts vanished. Solix looks down at his empty hand and closes it. He opens it again, and there are still no coins. Then he curls his hand up again. Do you remember that magic box I used to have? The one that we won at some dumb festival? You could put things in it and close it again to make them disappear. Solix says as he looks at Aradia. Yeah, you could slide a panel on the back to move a false compartment in and out. I still have it. Aradia nods. I'm not asking for it back or anything, but I think this might... Solix says, and you all look down at his closed hand. Solix opens his fingers, and there are 4 coins resting in his palm. After a shaky breath, he continues. It's the same logic. They're there, but they're not. I've just gotta think that they will be. You lean across the table and pick one up. It's the size of an eyeball, which is always bigger than people think. It's entirely gold-colored, and the design stamped onto it is a stylized set of scales. The edge of the coin is ringed with dots, and you guess that there's 10, but count to confirm it. The other side of the coin shows a man, your uncle, in a spacesuit with no helmet, obviously at the moment of his death. The coin itself weighs nothing, and doesn't feel like anything at all, and the longer you think that, the less real it seems. Either from Solix's hand shifting, or from your increased scrutiny towards its realness, the coin clips back into Solix's hand. It doesn't melt or fade. It clips. You see it slide through your fingers long ways with a glitchy stutter before disappearing and reappearing with the others Solix still holds. So, Earth cultures and human cultures both have death myths. Earth has more of them, but I've always thought they were fascinating.
Paying your way from this life to the next is a pretty recurring theme, and coins are a common way of doing that, Aradia is saying, and you can't check out of this right now, Dave. This is mission critical, Dave. Which makes sense that dead people would have them, but our ghosts don't, and we're alive and have them, Karkat points out.
So, what do the coins buy? You ask.
We don't know that they buy anything. There's no reason to think that they're something you pay with, Solix says, closing his hand once more and dismissing the coins completely.
That's what coins are for. They're currency. Literally, the purpose of currency is to pay for things. That's how it works, you argue.
Not always,
Solix says stubbornly. Do you need an economics lecture? You shoot back.
Shut up. Solix, don't think about it too hard, but what do you feel like the coins are for?
Karkat asks.
Solix opens his mouth and frowns. He looks like he's trying to catch hold of a thought, but in the end he shakes his head. I don't know, I'm just saying, whatever, let's not assume shit.
Solix shrugs.
Aradia frowns and gets her tablet out, setting it on the table and peering at it for a moment before she starts working on it. What are you doing? Solix asks her after a moment. Aradia shakes her head and keeps typing, but eventually she turns the tablet around and shows it to all of you. Unknown. Where are the other 2 coins? How do we use them? What do we use them on? Do more coins appear when more lights show up on the door? Why does Dave not have a coin? Why did none of our ghosts except Bro have a coin? Can't know yet. Will Bro come back? If he does, did losing his coin do something to him?
What happens to us if we take ours out?
Gamzee asks after a pause, and Aradia adds that to her list. Karkat grimaces and rubs at his eye, even though you can't see the coin there now. Can he feel it? How would you know? Yeah, I don't think I want to try that. Besides, until we know what we're supposed to do with them and when, I don't want to risk it, Solix says, with a similar grimace.
There's no way for me to know about Bro just yet, but how long do we wait to see? That was obviously a lot of damage, so if it took longer than normal for him to come back, I get it, but...
You don't say it, but at some point you have to call it on whether he can come back or not. That's why I put that under later. But at 8 tomorrow morning, we could come by your hive and figure this out then. That's enough time for him to recover, or at least recover enough for us to get something, Aradia suggests. In private, without the people who are left in the bar watching you. The reminder that you're being observed makes the back of your neck prickle uncomfortably.
Bro'll be fine. He always is,
you say irritably. You're not annoyed at Aradia's suggestion. You're annoyed that Bro exists at all. Mostly, you're perpetually annoyed that you need him, that you're stuck having to work with him. He's the worst, but you do need him. Goodness knows what he's going to be like after this, how he's going to take the rest of his family turning on him like that. Like you told Karkat and Solix, it probably won't change anything about Bro.
You're way too jaded to believe that anything like that can happen.
He's not stupid, though. He'll feel how that kind of reaction threatens his worldview, and you're sure he'll be a complete bastard for ages. More than usual, that is. But what if he...
8 a.m. I can do that.
You agree, as you set an alarm on your palm husk to be sure that you're ready.
Until then, it's you and me, Solix,
Gamzee rumbles. Yeah, I'll cover. Solix nods.
Thanks,
you tell him. You'd already had Solix ready to cover your watch, as Bro was benched on account of blowing your brother's arm off. It doesn't make any difference if Bro is benched because you're making him go away, or because other people in your family showed up and did it. The image of Bro on the table flashes into your mind again. He was scared, angry, and in physical pain. You think that the coin removal hurt, and that Rosa did it as a means to an end, but she didn't look that sorry about how much it hurt. You're not sorry that it hurts when you banish him, but you don't relish it.
You couldn't have done that to Bro. You don't think that you're capable of hurting someone like that. In self-defense, sure. To protect other people, fine. But you couldn't ambush someone with the specific intent to hurt them like that. You've been on the other end of that exchange too many times to be cool with that. You realize that you're tense all over, that you're gritting your teeth, that your legs are still but tensed hard enough that you're almost at risk of cramping a muscle. Cotard says that you're not broken. You're used to ignoring your own emotional reactions because people need you to be different. They need you to function, or you had to pretend to be fine when you weren't. If you listen to yourself, what do you hear? Tense. There's tension all over your body. You can feel the telltale signs of adrenaline in your system, and panic is bubbling within the sealed pressure cooker of your emotional jar. It is at a roaring boil. Fear, confusion, hurt, panic, guilt, exhaustion, helplessness. You flick out of the clock on your palm husk and hastily send a message to Cotard. You need an appointment, and you need it now. You need it 10 minutes ago. You need it yesterday, after Hal got his arm blown off. Why the fuck didn't you think to call your doctor after something like that? You went right back into sailor crisis management mode and forgot everything he's been trying to teach you. Stupid! No, wait. That's blaming and insulting yourself. That won't help. Hey, see? You didn't forget everything. Cotard gets back to you to try to ask you how big of an emergency this is. Can he suggest some self-regulation work and see you tomorrow evening? You tell him that Bro blew your brother's arm off and put him in the hospital, and now he's just been ripped apart by other dead members of your family. Cotard tells you he can see you in 2 hours, and to maybe get Beck to help you until then. I gotta go. See you at 8. You tell the others, and get up without waiting for a reply, already starting a message to your dad. Dad, is Beck still at your place? I need him. Hello, son. Yes, he's at home with me right now. I came back to feed and walk him. If you need him for support, you are more than welcome to take him back. The medical staff don't really like him in the hospital if he's not actively working. No, I know. Do you want to talk? I'm always here for you. I know, Dad. I'll tell you later, I promise. But I need to go to therapy because of so much shit, and the doc said bring Beck. That is part of Beck's job, and he does love to work. He's a good boy. A very good boy. Dave! Solix's voice startles you into turning around. You're outside the bar now. Oh, and Karkat is behind him now, too. I've gotta go, you tell him, and realize you said the same thing earlier. Insert coin, get default Dave with a dismissive response and no information. Are you doing something stupid or something smart? I can't tell. Solix asks suspiciously. He's dating both of us, so that's obvious. Karkat gets in immediately, because that was too good of an opportunity to let go to waste. I'm getting Beck and going to see my doc, you explain. That's a good idea. I'm glad you were able to get an appointment. Karkat nods approvingly. Your eyes snap to signless as he slides through a wall. Oh, you're very on edge, aren't you? You're on guard. If you need anything, Solix says, the offer unfinished, but the meaning getting across just fine. You nod, and Solix relaxes, trusting that you'll call out for him when you need his backup. Karkat looks concerned for you, and angry that things aren't going perfectly, but that's more or less his resting expression, isn't it? You wave at both of them, which is a little weird given that you're dating. Is there some kind of rule, like once you've relocated the party in Solix's pants to a party in your mouth, that you're past the polite, awkward wave stage? You know what? You're you, and even you regret the words that you just put together there. With a speed that's a little too fast for a casual walk, but nowhere near fast enough for a run, you walk away from the bar and towards your dad's place. Halfway there, you realize you bailed on the conversation at an odd point, but it's fine. When you arrive, you let yourself in. You find that your dad has one of Beck's slicker brushes in one hand and a lint roller in the other. He's getting the fur off of himself after brushing Beck out. There's actually a sizable amount of fur on the floor, but Beck is always shed like crazy. Dave, he smiles at you and sets the brush and roller to the side. Hey, Dad, I'll get this, you say, and grab the fur from the floor. Good idea. Not that I would accuse anyone of eating it the moment that he's unobserved, Dad says dryly, looking at Beck and picking the lint roller up again to go over his clothes a little more as you get rid of the handful of Beck's fur. Beck may or may not have eaten a handful of his own fur like this before and hacked it back up onto your bed. Fool you once. Okay, maybe more like fool you several dozen times over the course of a decade, but who's counting? It's only been 35 times. As soon as you come near your dad again, he pulls you into a hug and leads you down onto the sofa with him. He pulls you gently so that you lean over and rest your head on his shoulder as his arm wraps around your back in a one-armed hug. It has been very eventful lately, he observes, giving you a soft squeeze. One thing after another, Yeah, you sigh, shutting your eyes. Dad turns slightly and kisses the top of your head briefly, before going on to stroke his fingers through your hair in an attempt to neaten it a little. It's been a lot, and I know that things are complicated with your biological parents, more so than for most people. I'm not the expert on how any of that works, but if you want to talk, we can. But I know you, and I know that you always do whatever you can, that you helped your brother tremendously. You are a very brave and compassionate young man. I'm proud of you, he tells you. You know, when you first adopted us, you blurt that out without thinking, but now that you've started, you'll keep talking. You always keep talking. I thought that was fake, that you were just saying that kind of stuff to overcompensate for Mom and Bro, but you really mean it. It took ages to figure out that you really, really meant it. That's entirely understandable. I know that it was a big change. I know that most people aren't as upfront about their feelings as me, that a lot of men avoid it. I never wanted you to doubt that I loved you, or that I was proud of you and supported you. I always mean it, he assures you. Bro hates you so much, you know? You say quietly. You've not talked to him about Bro's feelings about him, not beyond confirming your dad's suspicion that him being trans was something Bro was repulsed by. Dad had told you then that he didn't care one bit about Bro's approval, so you hadn't kept talking about it. Now, the words just fall out of you. He has all this stuff that he thinks makes you a man. Toxic shit that you helped us unlearn, mostly. He hated it every time you talked about us like that, telling us that you were proud of us. Real men don't talk about their feelings or admit they were wrong. You sneer. Real people should be in touch with their feelings and be willing to admit when they have made a mistake, your dad says firmly, not even making that a man thing. I think I took after Bro more than I thought. I've had him around all this time, and with the balancer stuff and the secrecy, I know I do what he taught me to. Not think about how I feel, crush it down, and do what I have to do instead. You admit, and hold your hand out as Beck walks up to you to put his face in it. And look at you now, coming here to get Beck, talking to me, going to therapy. You're a better person and a better man than he ever was. You kids are the best thing they ever made, and even that's giving them too much credit. All of your good traits, you worked for them yourselves, you know that? That's why I'm so proud of you all, Dad says, moving to cup his hand around your cheek as he gives you a sincere and adoring smile. You hug your dad close, but after a while you realize that you should really get going to therapy. Your dad hugs you, and you lead Beck away, thinking about what your dad said. Masculinity isn't really a thing you've ever struggled with all that much, not beyond the usual growing up and figuring yourself out that everyone does, regardless of gender. There was a little sting about how much of a man you were because you and Jade weren't boning, but you can trace that particular thought right back to Bro's mouth. You can almost hear him say it. He said it enough times. Having Dad show you a positive side of being a man probably stopped a lot of issues before they started, and if you turned out just like him, you'd be rightfully happy about that. His approval of you is affirming. You want to be the kind of man that he is. It's just not the issue that you're dealing with. You get to Cotard's office and thank him for seeing you. The couch welcomes you when you sit down, just as much as Cinnamon Toast welcomes Beck with her excited tail wags. There's been a lot going on, Cotard says as he shuts the door and takes his seat. I could feel that it was fight or flight stuff coming up. I was tense and tight when I was talking to the others, and I know when I was dealing with Hal that I was in sailor mode or something. You frown and try to word this right, even as your heart hammers in your chest. I was doing and working instead of thinking. Or not. I was thinking, obviously, but not. How long has your heart been pounding like that? Processing what's happened and how you feel about it? Powering through it? Cotard suggests. Yeah. When I felt my chest get all tight, I tried to pay attention and realized that I should have called you, which was dumb. And then I realized that I was saying that and that I shouldn't be doing that either. I did contact you, though. You point out, like it'll up your score somehow. That's really good, Dave. Honestly, it's hard to be present when you're not used to doing that. When you've been trained not to be as well. Cotard says, with a genuine smile on his face. You wonder if Gamzee talks about that. Sailor training can have a way of breaking you down and building you back up again, which sounds fine until you accept that they still break you. You want to be able to keep your cool in a crisis, but sometimes that means you treat every crisis like it's a sailor situation. It takes a while for you to explain to Cotard everything that happened with Hal, everything you went through when you got him to the hospital, how Karkat was hurt and you didn't notice, and then finally everything that happened with Bro and the long-dead members of your family. As you go along, Cotard asks little questions, picking up on the way you phrase things and asking what you think it means, or if you really feel what your words imply. When you get to the end, Cotard seems thoughtful, sitting in silence for several long seconds. How do you feel about what happened to Hal? He asks finally. Guilty. I wish I'd acted faster. I want to say that if I'd dismissed Bro sooner, then maybe the device wouldn't have exploded, but I'm not sure how true that is. I know that Bro wouldn't be around Hal if I wasn't on this ship, but I wanted to be with my family, even though I knew that exposed them to Bro. I didn't know that Bro could or would do that, but he's still only here because I am. But I know Hal doesn't blame me. Even when Roxy and Dirk were trying to find a solution about the whole thing, they said they'd rather keep me here, even if it meant that Bro was part of that deal. It feels shitty, but I don't really think I can do anything about it, or there wasn't anything I could have done differently. You say thoughtfully. I think that's very sensible. Obviously, this is traumatic for all of you, but it seems like you're being very even-handed in your assessment of the situation. Cotard nods. Right, and obviously Hal shouldn't lose a limb. I'm not happy about that, but the Cybernetic Enhancement Club isn't all that bad, right? You point out, gesturing to your eyes in his hand. It's better to not be part of it, but it's incredible what people can do for replacements now. Cotard nods. You know that Cotard is going to ask about Karkat next, so you beat him to it and lay out your assessment of that situation as calmly as you can. I feel awful about Karkat. I should have known better with that. I'm trained to recognize those symptoms. If Hal hadn't been as hurt as he was, I know I'd have spotted it right away, but I was so focused on Hal that I missed it. Which, yeah, Hal was the more immediate medical priority, and he's my brother. I wouldn't blame someone else for missing it, but I still feel guilty. I love Karkat. I don't want him hurt, and I think I'm probably gonna always feel guilty about dropping the ball on that one. You admit with a sigh. What did he have to say about it? The doc asks, like he already knows the answer. More or less the same, and he's right. Also, he's totally fine now, thank fuck for that. Besides, I know him. He wouldn't ask for help or distract me in a situation like that, even if he had been aware of how hurt he was. That's just what Karkat is like, so he definitely doesn't blame me. That don't make me feel any better. You mutter, and you can almost imagine Rose on the other side of the ship suddenly saying doesn't, even though she wasn't near enough to correct you. I'm not going to tell you not to feel negatively about this, but I want you to be aware of this situation with both Karkat and Hal. Kotard challenges you. Aware how? You question him. That sounds really specific, so what's he got planned? Feeling sadness, guilt, and regret are natural responses to a situation such as this. All I want to ask is that you try to be aware of how you're thinking about things when it comes to them. Make sure that you're not trying to act in a certain way to alleviate your perceived guilt, that the way you talk to yourself about these feelings doesn't become accusatory and unhealthy. You can feel bad, but you aren't bad as a person, he reminds you. You consider that for a moment. It would be easy to slip into a pattern of behavior like that. At first, it'd just be to take care of them both after they're hurt, maybe, but it could easily escalate, unbalancing your relationships with them to try to earn enough points to, win the guilt game? Get out of guilt bankruptcy? I'll watch that. You agree with a nod. I mean this with no disrespect or accusation. Kotard begins carefully. But it seems like, although those events were traumatic, it's what happened with your bro that seems to have affected you the most. The image of bro on the table flashes behind your eyes again. When you lean back and pull your feet up on the seat, Beck drops his focus on Cinnamon Toast and hops up next to you. He's doing his job, but it's not a great sign for how you're doing. You rub at your eyes for a second, like that'll clear away the image. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that watching a member of my family scream to be let go as his brother, mother, and great-grandparent held him down and ripped something painful out of his face might, for some reason, have made me feel some kind of way. You mutter. That seems like a very sensible conclusion to draw. Kotard nods. I know he's a bastard, but I could never do that to him or anyone. They didn't look gleeful about it or anything, but that's not making it a lot better, you know? And he shattered into a bajillion pieces, and you falter. You press a hand to your chest and realize that you can feel your breathing getting tight. Beck crawls up onto you, and you hug him close to your chest, letting him lick your skin to ground you. Kotard waits, watching you closely to track how you're doing. It sucked, and he stood there talking about how not sorry he was for everything he did to me, but I still didn't try to stop them. I don't even understand what they did. You managed to say eventually. How does that work with ghosts? Kotard asks, still taking notes. Bro shattered. You saw it, 1,000,000 little bits, and what if... Dave? Kotard prompts you. You look up and answer the question that's been asked of you. Ghosts can get damaged or killed, and they come back just fine after some time, and the same happens if we banish them. You've mentioned before that you can do that, yeah? He nods. Since it seemed extreme, we agreed to wait until 8 a.m. tomorrow to try with Bro. You add. Kotard looks at you and at Beck, who is nudging his nose into your neck repeatedly. Why 8 a.m.? Kotard asks slowly. It was Aradia's suggestion. It works with everyone's schedules, but it's not so early that it'd be hard to do. And it gives Bro enough time, and it gives me time to sleep long enough to function well enough to pull Bro back. It eliminates me as a factor. You explain. Beck barks at you, making you change your focus from the dock to him. Beck whines and paws at your shoulder. Dave, your breathing is a little fast, and your speech is a little bit off. Kotard says, ever so carefully. You don't know what to say to that. How do you feel? He asks. I'm fine. The words are out of your mouth before you know it. Compared to how you were earlier, how do you feel? Emotionally, physically? He presses you. I'm fine. There's nothing I can do until tomorrow, you say, and for some reason your voice is croaky and dry. Cotard tells you to pet Beck, to draw a path through his thick white fur with your fingers. He has you count how many times you do it, and has you tell him all the words you know to describe how Beck's fur feels in any language you like. It occurs to you, after a while, that Cotard has been quiet for some time, and you look over to see him absently petting Cinnamon Toast as he waits. He's not staring at you, not observing, just glancing your way every so often. What? You try to say, but your throat is raw for some reason, and you cough. Let me get you a drink. Were things feeling not quite real for a while there? He questions you as he reaches down for a bottle of water. You don't know when he got that out. You take it from him and swallow a good amount before you manage to reply. Yeah, I think. We talked before about how you tend to respond to stress with focusing on doing a job or performing a role. It's part of what led to your concerns about there not being a real you under there. He begins. Right. You nod. And we've seen what happens when that breaks down. You end up having a panic attack. But I think a lot of time you go into this kind of crisis mode and eventually it wears off, leading to a crash or to other emotional repercussions. You caught that you were doing it when you contacted me, remember? He goes on. Yeah, I was that? You ask with a frown. I think that was part of it. I think what you just experienced was derealization, an extreme anxiety response in which the mind retreats away from a very stressful situation or stimulus because it's safer. Sometimes people get this without a panic attack, and sometimes it's part of it. I'm sure you've seen it in other people before. Cotard explains. New sailors sometimes panic silently. They look fine, but they're not. I look out for them, and... You pause and look at Beck. You'd try to distract them with something, or give them something very basic and repetitive to do until they came out the other side of it, and could really hear you when you talk to them. I think between your childhood and your sailor training, you keep a lot of functioning in that kind of state. You panic, and then you fill a role or do a task and shove everything else away. Beck was trying to bring you out of it, and you could follow instructions well enough to get calm enough to come back. Cotard tells you, gesturing to Beck with his metal hand. What do I do? You ask, at the same time that you start to feel that need to have a task rising in you. Something to do that helps. If you're doing something, then you can focus on that alone. It really is a coping strategy, isn't it? It may not be a bad one, entirely, but it's sure as hell not working right now. What you do now is go home. You should try to relax and process how you feel. I've got another appointment that I've cleared out for you tomorrow. Clearly there is something specific about your current situation that's causing you some very intense anxiety, but right now you'd only overflow if we push this more. Cotard advises you. You nod to that, and to the doc's questions about the medication he prescribed you for an actual panic attack, making sure it's on you, that kind of thing. It's not great, but he thinks that's likely enough to be an issue that he has to ask about it. With Beck leading you, you make your way home. You're aware that you're a little numb as you travel, and you wonder if you're fully out of this de-real thing or not. Dave, are you okay? Karkat asks you the second that you're through the door. You make an indecisive kind of grunt and sprawl out on the lounge plank next to him. Karkat ditches his tablet to pull at your shoulder, so you lean up enough to rest your head on his soft thigh. Therapy went bad. I'm tired. You mumble. So rest then, Karkat rumbles, his voice quiet enough that you know the tones of his voice would... Wait. Could you... You look up at him and feel the words you want to say freeze in your chest. "What do you want me to do?" Karkat asks, watching you with warm red eyes that are endlessly patient right now. I love your voice, and I'm supposed to, the doc had me petting Beck because it's repetitive, good, something. Could you read? Anything. I don't mind. You don't know how to articulate this very stupid and embarrassing thing, to ask for such a dumb kind of help. Karkat narrows his eyes, and for a moment your panicky... Are you still panicking? Nervous system thinks that you've done something wrong. That you said the wrong thing, messed up somehow. At least, that's what you think until Karkat gnaws at his thick bottom lip for a second or two, then brightens. "I'm still avoiding resting the back of my head on anything, but I have an idea. Come here," Karkat says. He shuffles along the lounge plank until he's along the edge of the cushions lengthways, with a gap between the back of the lounge plank and him. He moves a couple of cushions under his head and then opens one arm to beckon you into the space that he's made. He's stretched out on the seats of the lounge plank like it's his bed, only he's the one at the edge of the cushions, his back to the rest of the room. It leaves a closed-in, safe little space for you between him and the back of the lounge plank. He's offering it to you, and you don't need asking a second time. You slip between the back of the lounge plank and Karkat's body right away, pressing one ear to Karkat's chest and pressing your face into the seat of the lounge plank so you can hear him but not really see anything at all. "Here," Karkat prompts you and wedges a cushion between your face and the seat of the lounge plank. You still have your face down, and it's still dark, but now your left ear is muffled by the cushion, and your right is pressed to Karkat's chest. Plus, you have the added benefit of not smothering yourself against the furniture. Karkat's warm and gravelly voice informs you that he's going to read you one of his books, and when Beck hops up to lay across your legs, you figure that he wants story time too. You allow everything to narrow. You focus on the soothing sound of Karkat's voice and the warm weight of your dog on your legs. You feel Karkat's breathing as his chest moves against your body, and Beck's as his warm breath passes over your right ankle where one of your socks has slipped down. You pay attention to your own heart beating and your own breath playing counterpoint to the background noise of Karkat's words. With a detached and almost dreamlike kind of observation, you watch as your body's stress responses start to lower and return to some kind of baseline level of tension. Karkat's claws skirt up and down your spine, long but blunt-tipped from... Wait. You frown slightly as you remember Karkat's right arm propped up to hold the back of his head, and you know he's holding his tablet with the other hand. Also, Karkat's claws are shorter and rounder, but these have a sharp curve to the bed of them. A sharpness that's blissfully stroking through your scalp right now. So, maybe you don't care about solving this mystery at all right now. Okay, sure, but why that book? Solix's familiar honey-toned and dual-shaped voice asks. He didn't make a request for anything specific, and he's not complaining. Karkat hisses back, trying to keep his voice low, but it's doing that gravelly thing that you really like. Dave, did I spook him? He just shuddered. Solix asks in your second favorite voice. Ugh, his lisp even got him slightly on spook, and it's so endearingly him that your skin prickles all over. Okay, really focusing on sound, and your body has seemingly calmed you down, but made you go all weird about sound. I'm good, just a little out of it, you say, your voice muffled in Karkat's chest now. You twist as much as the limited space and large dog on your legs will allow to look up at Solix. Karkat's hand flattens on the back of your head to let you move. His sharp-tipped claws skirt the vulnerable skin of your neck. The raised eyebrow from Solix tells you that you must have made some kind of expression about that. I had a panic thing. Doc had me focusing on... You falter as your mind skitters slightly. On, physical and audio stuff. Doing that now instead of, going all sailor mode. That makes sense. Karkat agrees, making you want to curl up against his chest and do nothing but listen to his voice for a while longer. My head hurts, you say after a moment of consideration, since you're trying to be good and pay attention to the things that your body is telling you. Mine too, actually. I wonder if the ship's pressure has been reset or something. I always used to get pressure headaches whenever they did maintenance on it when I lived with my Lucis. Solix says thoughtfully. I don't know, I just feel pretty shitty. You sigh and tip your head back into Karkat's hand a little more, in the faint hopes that it'll keep petting you. You'd feel worse about liking it so much if it wasn't for the fact that Beck has very long ago established how great pets are and how everyone should get them. At the very least, he should get them. When's the last time either of you two ate anything? Karkat asks, in a voice that tells you that he suspects that he knows the answer, and it's that you're both kind of stupid. You say, stupidly frowning as you try to think about it. You definitely ate food at the hospital. Overnight, your dad made sure that everyone ate and slept at least a little bit, though he had the sense to not try to make you go home and sleep. Given how involved you were in everything that caused Hal to get his arm blown off, you weren't going to come back here and snooze like you didn't have a care in the universe. Food was not so negotiable, and you do remember eating. You definitely ate in the morning as well, when Jane and your dad showed up with those cupcakes. You'll be damned if you can remember what kind you even had, but you did eat. Oh, also you had that chai latte thing at the bar, although you didn't drink all of it. This morning? That should be a statement, but you're unsure about enough details that it definitely feels like a question. I ate at the hospital. I had that frozen drink, the grass one. There was a lunch platter type thing at work over the meeting, and I had a half of one of those, but I definitely got distracted and didn't finish it, now that I think about it. Solix says, slowing down at the end as he looks at Karkat. When you turn to look at as well, Karkat does not appear to be impressed with either of you. The headache's a hunger thing, then? Solix guesses. Yes, genius, it is. You two are lucky that you're both pretty. Karkat sneers, insulting you and sincerely complimenting you at the same time. Obviously, he is insulting you, but you do know that he thinks you both are pretty, so of course he's wrapping that up in an insult because he's Karkat. I'm going to order, Karkat says as he starts to move, but Solix interrupts him. Pepperoni pizza, he says emphatically. Well, okay, I can do that. I wasn't expecting that much firm decision-making today, but I'm not complaining. Sorry, Dave, I've got to... Karkat tries to disentangle himself from you. You really don't want to let him go, actually. You still don't feel great, and if you sit up or move, then you have to be a person again. You don't want to do that. Solix solves this problem by getting in the middle of this before Karkat even tries to move you, though. He psionically extricates Karkat from his position and floats himself back in Karkat's place, all while supporting you with a gently tingling psionic cushion of air, which is fine by you. I guess that works, Karkat says from somewhere behind Solix. You can't see because you're already burying your face in the space between Solix's chest and the lounge plank cushions. Another win for dating two people instead of one, Solix laughs, the tone of his voice reverberating in his chest. You sigh and hold Solix close. As nice as this is, you know that you've kind of come out of that calming down headspace that you were in earlier, and now you mostly feel tired and burnt out emotionally. Cotard is right. This worn-out feeling is one you've had from time to time, but you always put it down to dealing with stress and having a delayed reaction. That is technically true, but you didn't consider that operating on a single fragmented aspect of your Dave personas, trademark, was the exact reason for it being so draining. What was your meeting about? You ask Solix from deep within the dark safety of his shirt, his body, and the soft lounge plank cushions. Hal and the palm husk, mostly, he tells you. Oh, that makes sense. You could have worked that out if you'd thought about it at all. Solix's claws brush your skin in soothing little patterns, letting you soak in how nice that feels. If Bro saw this, Dave? Solix asks, and his hand squeezes your shoulder. Your body is tense. You can feel the resistance that your muscles have as Solix touches you. You could name each muscle in your shoulder that's seized tight under his touch, but it's the rest of your body as well. Just talk. Tell me about the meeting, anything. You say, your mouth going dry as you speak. You can hear your pulse in your ears, and you think it might be getting faster. Sure, if that's okay. It was kind of what we already said. They're going to go really hard on trying to track down the ones where we have a good clue about where they might be. Devices that people think they lost in weird places, or people who refuse to look and see if their dead loved ones still have a palm husk in their stuff. We're going to get more help and authorization with that. That's how it looks. We've also contacted more people about it. Really made clear how badly wrong it can go if they don't let us patch this shit. Solix tells you. You make a noise to encourage Solix to keep talking. Your pulse is starting to slow again. It's not the topic of Hal's injury and the explosion that's setting you off. The doc was right. People kept asking me questions about ghost stuff like I'm any kind of expert. I'm not. I'm not even a full sailor yet. Solix goes on. I need to train you more, you manage to say. Another thing you've kind of dropped the ball on. Yeah, me and Karkat have been trying to keep on it by ourselves, but we don't really know what we're doing. I'm sorry I let that stuff slip. I know you were disappointed. Solix says softly and leans down to kiss the top of your head. You tilt your head up to show your face and give him a better target, which he aims for without you even having to ask. From the position that you're in, it's hard for you to kiss him back, or for him to kiss you properly, but it's nice all the same. It's weird. The anxiety in your chest and the feeling of being so close to him is making you make odd connections. Remember our first kiss? You ask, probably a stupid tangent. Yeah, I really couldn't believe that you were willing to kiss me at all then, especially after I told you that I had feelings for you and it'd mean something to me if we kissed. Solix grins. It meant a lot to me, too. I was too dumb to get what it was I was feeling. You say, irritated at your past self for being that dumb. Solix shuffles himself down the lounge plank so you're face to face, instead of your face being at chest level for him. It worked out. Solix smiles and leans in to kiss you. You're cool with that. So very cool. You're avoiding thinking, and you're trying to be present with your body's responses to stress or whatever. You're sure that Solix can assist you with that right now. Okay, that's all ordered, and Solix, that's not keeping Dave calm and relaxed. I was gone for 5 minutes. What the hell? Karkat groans. He's not stressed out, Solix protests. I'm good. You agree quickly, if a little hazily. You two are going to eat and drink something, Karkat threatens you, caringly, as he does. You do, in fact, eat and drink something. With dedicated purpose, you focus on the smallest details of everything, on what you're eating, on what Karkat and Solix are saying, and how it sounds when they talk, on the feel of Beck's fur. You zoom in on every minute thing, and diligently pop your brain out of your skull and leave it off to the side where it's safe. Solix asked you once on Somnos if you saw everything in high def. Could you see everyone's pores in gross detail, every tiny hair, all of that? The actual answer is that you can, but you have to mentally focus to process everything at that kind of resolution. What your eyes take in is more than your brain deals with. The footage that you can capture is crystal clear, but it's still your brain picking the framing, and your lived experience filters out the extra information. You see everything, but you don't notice everything unless you try. You try to do it now, though. You look at Karkat's hand in yours as he watches a movie with you both. You pull it close and look at his claws, his cuticles. If you really try, you can make out the faint shadow of tiny blood vessels there. But when you stop focusing really closely on things, you can feel this thing at the edge of your mental peripheral vision. a yawning chasm of panic that you could fall into at the slightest second, and the only thing keeping your footing is very intently pretending that it's not right there. When you sleep that night, you sleep with Beck in your bed with you, your arm wrapped tight around his big furry body. You don't dream. You don't dream of Bro, and you don't dream of Carcat's ice cream parlor, the museum, the lab, Gamzee's hive, not even whatever the fuck you call Solix's thing. Nothing. You sleep, and then you wake up. You get up, you dress, you eat something. All the stuff you can do on autopilot in the mornings gets done. When Gamzee and Aradia arrive at your hive, you're ready. The 4 of them call their ghosts in. Technically, the 3 of them do, because GHB showed up with Gamzee with an undeniable air of excitement on his face. You hate things that get GHB eager and excited. They're so rarely good for you.
I take it you haven't tried to get Bro here yet?
Aradia guesses correctly, and you nod in response. In one of his smaller forms, Psionic curls around Solix's shoulders, and the way he brushes his face against Solix makes you think he passed along some idea.
I don't know,
Solix tells him quietly. Okay, you announce, but you don't have anything more to say, just trying to communicate that you're going to try to drag Bro here now. You try not to think about how he looked in a million billion tiny pieces. Instead, you simply pull him towards you, something you've done countless times. You can do it with scarcely a thought. You just sort of reach out and do it. Except, you reach out and don't. The place where your mental reach would normally find Bro contains not Bro. You recoil at the sensation, and something of it must show on your face. Is he too hurt? Carcat asks slowly. You shake your head, and GHB's smile is slasher movie wide. Panic rises in your chest as you scramble to find Bro again, reaching out and grabbing for anything. Your mental touch alights on something, so you desperately drag it back, and then air next to you glitches, funhouse mirror shards of Bro flickering in the air. For a second or two, you get a warped image of his face, looking from the others to you, but one half of his face is very notably missing, the half that his great-grandmother ripped a coin from. Then, mere seconds after he appeared, he shatters apart and vanishes. Signless says something to Carcat, prompting Damara and Matuna to say something back.
Maybe we can try balancing. It could be easier for him to stick around or recover if you're channeling the past through him,
Aradia suggests.
Nuh-uh. Motherfucker's dead. I don't know how he's still ticking, but...
GHB's speech becomes garbled as Gamzee makes a face of irritated concentration. He's tuning him right the fuck out, but it's a little late. Bro's dead. Bro... No, you can't do this right now, Dave. Let's try you and me, Aradia. Always work best. You say hastily as you mentally kick and shove the panic in your head down. She tries to lead you through Drunken Sailor, and as you start it with her and try to pull on Bro, the same thing happens. He appears in bits, only to fall apart right away. You can't channel jack shit with him here, and Aradia ends up working without you, essentially just checking what's going on in the ship. You can still feel the balance, feel that the ship is basically level right now, but you can't do dick about it. I can't balance. I can feel it, but I can't do anything. You whisper in horror, your hands clutching the back of the lounge plank as tight as you can. Maybe it'll get better? Carcat ventures, hopefully.
We can't count on that,
Aradia says, her voice and expression grim. You're not a balancer. You can't balance. Wait, but what about that motif thing? Can you do that? Solix asks.
Probably, but that's last resort shit. I only did it before because my ghost fucked me over.
Gamzee says darkly.
We don't know what it'll do if he does it now. It could drag the void here or skip the ship ahead. It's way too dangerous to test.
Aradia adds. I couldn't... You can't talk properly. Dave? Karkat and Solix ask at the same time. You realize that Beck is pawing at your leg as well, and you'd somehow not noticed. You can't balance. You can't defend yourself against the void. Can't protect anyone. Dave? Karkat asks again. You can barely hear him over the ringing in your ears. You flinch as Solix moves quickly, but he's moving away from you. Your heart is hammering in your chest. It feels like with every beat, your ribcage is crushing inwards. Dave, can you look at me? Karkat asks. I can't breathe, you croak out. Beck shoves you to the ground as Solix hurries back over. He's saying something, but you can't make it out, can't make anything out. He has you take something and wash it down with a gulp of water that you nearly choke on, and you hold tightly onto Beck as Karkat strokes your knee. When Solix gets up, you flinch, and you do it again when he comes back and sits next to you, his back against the lounge plank by yours. Solix must have given you one of the things for panic attacks. The medication, the one that your doc... Yeah. The panic doesn't exactly go away, but after an eternity of shallow breaths, it's like it's on the other side of a shut door, screaming through it. Seems like the kind of situation where we should contact his doctor. This seems very much like a therapy thing. Karkat's voice fades back in for you. You try to speak, but your voice only croaks unintelligibly. Searching your pockets, you manage to find your palm husk and tap at the screen, and then you hand it over to Solix as he passes you a bottle of water. Karkat starts offering to uncap the water bottle for you, but honestly, your grip is so tight from stress that you could probably unscrew the canisters that the ship's plutonium fuel rods or whatever are kept in with your grip strength alone. Why have you... Oh, fuck me, your display offends my eyes. Dave already has an appointment, see? Solix says as he turns your palm husk to show Karkat. Karkat turns to look at your screen. He puts his hand on your knee absently to keep his balance, and for some reason you focus on it. His thumb is absently rubbing across your knee as he reads and thinks it over. You apparently check out at this point, because the next thing you know, you're looking at Cotard's surprised expression, Karkat and Solix practically holding you up at either side. He looks like he's about to ask what's going on here, when Solix says in a rush, "We're not gate crashing, we just wanted to..." As he hesitates, looking around and grimacing to see the front desk person sitting there on duty, Karkat comes to the rescue. "Can we come in and tell you something, and then we'll go? We're really not trying to crowbar our way into his actual session here," Karkat asks. "It's easier," you manage to add, and only then does Cotard lead the way back to his office. Cinnamon Toast looks up at you and then very diligently gets up and greets both Karkat and Solix, proving that they're real. She's interested in Beck, of course, but Beck is solidly focused on assisting you right now. "Dave had a pretty bad panic attack earlier. Solix gave him the medication for it, and he has Beck, but he's still not fine. It's not magic. Obviously you know that. We just wanted to bring him here since he already had an appointment, and we hoped that you could help," Karkat explains. It takes a second or two for you to realize that he feels awkward and uneasy here. "We also wanted to let you know, so you saw that if his reactions were off, it might be that," Solix adds. "Thank you for telling me," Cotard says politely. "We'll go outside now. Come on," Karkat says, leading Solix back out into the hallway with him, and only getting back a minimal amount of bitching that Solix doesn't need Karkat to direct him back into a hallway, thanks, etc. You sit down on the lounge plank and pull Beck to your chest the very instant that he gets on there with you. Cotard shuts the door and looks at you carefully as he moves back to his chair. "So, you had a panic attack and took your medication for it?" He checks, as if Karkat and Solix might have lied about that. You nod. "Was it a particularly bad one?" he asks. You nod again. "Take your time. You don't need to say anything right away," Cotard says, gently reassuring you. "I don't know what I'm feeling, but It's too much, and I want it to stop, you say, when you can finally get your words in order. That's all right. I can help you figure it out. Why don't you start with what set off this panic attack, if you're able to talk about it, of course, he suggests. After what the ghosts did to Bro, he went away, but he does that. We can make them go away for a bit if we want. You begin.
Cotard nods but stays silent, waiting for you to continue.
We figured we'd meet up this morning and I'd try to get him back. That looked really nasty, so maybe he'd need longer, you know? But
your throat gets tight and you have to stop talking for a minute. You pet back and try to think about him alone, not the words you're having to say. As you do this, you manage to almost robotically tell your therapist that Bro wouldn't come back, that what you got was just bits, that he's dead for good and you're no longer a balancer in any way that counts for anything.
We don't even get why they came, or I don't know. Bro might have heard something or got something from them in the chaos that we didn't. We were paying a lot of attention to Rosa, but Bro wasn't until she ripped his face off or whatever.
You tell him. He could have information. It'd be useful since the situation seems very out of the ordinary from what you've said, Cotard says, making you realize that you'd fallen silent there, and he's trying to prompt you without taking you off track.
I can't get him back. I tried so hard, and the most I got was bits. He's gone, and I can't balance now.
You sob. The words rip their way out of your throat, and it's only then that you realize that you're crying. You can't cry over this. You cannot. Hastily, you scrub at your face and force yourself to stop through sheer force of will. Get a grip. That's a lot to deal with, Cotard says slowly, though the expression on his face very firmly communicates the holy shit reaction he's actually having. There are words you could use to talk about this, since words aren't usually something that you're short on. You don't even have to pay close attention to feel how there's a billion words pinballing around inside your body trying to get out, yet you can't say anything. Helplessly, you gesture, trying to get Cotard to understand that it's too much, but you can't get out from underneath the weight of everything. It can be hard to know where to start to talk about something like this, your doc says carefully, but he looks more sure of his read on the situation when you nod. Cotard watches you for a moment as you struggle in silence before he speaks again in a measured voice. Would it be easier for you if I gave my thoughts on this for a minute and tried to steer you through this? You nod. It's all so much, and it's all impossibly big, but none of it is arbitrary, so then how can you possibly pick anywhere to start? You're left crumpled at the base of this unthinkably big mountain of mental stuff. A guide, hell, any guidance full stop, would be better than this. Cotard seems to think for a moment, looking over his notes. Then he folds his metal hand over his flesh and blood one and looks directly at you. To start with, I don't think it's unreasonable to treat the attack on Bro and what seems to be his now permanent absence as a death. Even if he has technically been dead for many years, it seems very much like this counts much more as a death from your point of view, someone who spoke with his ghost. From your perspective, and the perspectives of others who could interact with him, he was thinking and alive in every way but physical. The end of this state of things is a death, even if, biologically speaking, that's been the case for a long time. The doc begins. You nod. If Bro's really gone, and it sure as fuck felt like he was, then he's dead. Or, at the very least, he's not coming back, which is the same for you. The possibility that he could be in any way aware of his existence in that tiny, fragmented state that he was in is... You hope he's dead for good. It's the case across the board for everyone that the death of an abusive parent is a big and complex thing to deal with.
That alone is a lot for someone to process, even if we were to disregard the complicated working relationship that your balancer role put you in with Bro. Kotar tells you. My siblings all went through it, so I know. After we got here, Dad always said that however we felt about it was okay. I get it. Someone like that dies, and you can be happy that they're gone and feel shitty about it too. Sometimes, even in the same minute, you can feel all of that at once. You shrug. Except, it's not someone, it's your biological father, and this hasn't fully happened to you before. It's understandable that you'd feel differently about things now than how you did about his physical death. Your siblings all had years to deal with that loss and how they felt about him, but for you, he never left, and on top of that, you couldn't really tell anyone about it. This is new for you, and there's no reason to expect you to have dealt with this already and be set in how you feel just because he physically died years ago. Cotard points out. Are you squidding me? I finished the paragraph. That's like not fair, dude. That's like not fair. I wish my Wi-Fi was good. I wish I had Wi-Fi that worked. Okay. Actually, one more sip. Man, I must be disconnected too. There's not enough of me here to be yelling about the disconnect. I wish my Wi-Fi was good, but other than that, I mean, like... Your siblings all had years to deal with that loss and how they felt about him, but for you, he never left, and on top of that, you couldn't really tell anyone about it. This is new for you, and there's no reason to expect you to have dealt with this already and be set in how you feel just because he physically died years ago. Cotard points out. You frown and pet Beck's ears, your fingers running up the triangular shape of them and feeling the fuzz there. How do you feel about Bro dying? I guess maybe he deserved to go out like he did after everything he did. It looked like it really... You shudder and try to keep talking so you don't get stuck thinking about how Bro was screaming and trying to get away. Shit, now you're thinking about it. Fuck, keep talking! I hate him, but I couldn't do that. That was his fucking family, and they did that. Killed him like that. You force out, just in time to stop there being a huge and obvious gap. That's also an incredibly distressing thing to witness. The doc agrees, but you suspect he caught that falter anyway. Slowly, you nod your head. It was a lot. Maybe it makes you weak, but you couldn't kill Bro like that, or at least you don't think that you could. Not premeditated and out of nowhere when you've got him outnumbered and held down like that. And for what? Some weird magic coins that you don't get for some reason? Oh, fuck. Maybe they're coins that balancers get, and you don't get one because you aren't one now. Bro had one, but then again, he did see his brother when he died, so clearly there was something going on with his sensitivity. You're not a balancer now, though. They showed up and murdered him. I'm not gonna say it wasn't... Bro had it coming as a person. That room was full of dead people whose lives he'd ended or ruined, and he fucked me up so bad. I get the idea of ghosts wanting revenge, but what the fuck do the three of them... Where do they get off coming in here like that? You demand. Cotard's pen moves lightning fast over the surface of his tablet, and he speaks without looking up from it. Tell me what you mean by that. I mean, they were his family. Sure, he didn't know Rosa personally, but that didn't stop her showing up and killing him. You hiss. Does them being family bother you because bro was your father and he was abusive towards you as well? Is it the similarity that's getting you? Cotard asks. That's not great, is it? But neither your uncle nor your grandmother had seemed like they relished bro's pain or fear. They looked reluctant about it. Not so much that they stopped it, of course. Rosa seemed angry and determined, maybe vengeful, but it's not the rapt attention to another person's suffering that Mom and Bro used to get. They weren't into it. No, it wasn't the same kind of thing. Obviously, they knew what he did. They were sad and disgusted with him. It wasn't like how Mom and Bro were. You explain. Cotard nods and notes that down. He looks back at you afterwards as if he expects you to keep going on. It's one of his tricks to make you keep talking. It works, and you're not mad about it. It's why you're here, right? Keep going, then. Them showing up like they did is getting to you. It's making you feel so much that you can scream, but you don't know exactly why. So, talk about it, then. They just showed up out of nowhere like that. Bro wasn't even doing anything. You point out. Cotard looks up from his tablet screen. Really? No, I mean, that's not right. He just maimed Hal, so of course he was doing something wrong, but that doesn't feel like what you meant. What do you mean? He wasn't that second, though. Why show up now? I guess I should be asking why didn't they... something. I don't know. You frown. Your hands are shaking slightly, and you're grating your teeth. You said, why now? Cotard echoes. Why now? The thought streaks through your mind like a shot and hits something that groans like a dam about to burst. The words start to flow out of your mouth, slow at first, but you can feel the pressure of them. Why now? What's special about now? My whole fucking life, Bro's been torturing me, even after he died, but I need him to balance, and these assholes show up now? They show up and ruin my whole deal, so where the fuck were they when Bro started this? Or better yet, if they'd been better goddamn people, then maybe Bro wouldn't have turned out like he did. But no, they failed and then have my life is over now! They didn't help shit! You are angrier than you've ever been, and you didn't even see the rage coming. It's not fair, Cotard says softly. It's not... You can't even get past 2 words before you have to grab back and bury your face in his furry shoulder. It's not fair that Bro treated you the way that he did. It's not fair that no one stopped him. It's a horrible thing to face that your ancestors show up now to kill him despite not doing anything before. It's not okay, Cotard says softly. You pull away from Beck, or at least you lift your face from his body. I hate Bro, but I needed him. I can't balance without him. I don't know why they do this to me. They don't even know me. Shit, God, Rosa was acting like she cared about me, but she stabbed me in the back. You say bitterly. Cotard is quiet for a few long moments that seem to stretch longer still. You don't like the silence, not when it feels like you're being evaluated. It feels that way because you are, and even though Cotard has proven himself helpful and understanding over the time you've seen him, well, being watched by someone evaluating your responses isn't a comfortable feeling for you. Can you elaborate on that last part? You said she stabbed you in the back. I know you mean metaphorically, but what makes you put it like that? He asks carefully. You don't like when he gets this wary about having you explain the way you worded something. It usually means you've said something that's hinted at a deeply messed up idea that you didn't realize you had, or didn't realize wasn't normal. She killed Bro. I had to watch it, which was bad enough, and she didn't do it when it would have helped. She did it now. You explain. When... Cotard narrows his eyes and readies his pen. When would it have helped? I'm not saying murder is a helpful thing to do for someone. That's not what I'm saying. You correct yourself. No, that's, well, obviously, yes. Murder bad, hot take of the millennia. You said she didn't do it when it would have helped, and contrasted that to now. What's the distinction there? He asks. When would it have been helpful? You guess. You don't understand the question, and he's waiting for you to say more. I need Bro to balance. I need to balance. People are relying on me. Bro's an asshole who deserves his shit getting completely wrecked, but I need him around. Not emotionally, but literally I need him to funnel the whole void thing through. No ghost, no ability to balance. No useful ability. I could probably do a little, but practically I'm dead here. You explain. I understand. Her killing Bro had a huge effect on this and on you. I'm going to get back to that, but when would that not have been the case? You said she didn't help, so, for lack of a better term, when would have been a good time? He asks you. ASAP, obviously. The moment Bro died, before everything else did. You say, with a dismissive laugh. Cotard isn't laughing. Before everything else did. He repeats, not questioning, merely sounding the statement out so you can hear it again. Before... Something in your chest thrashes, but you continue to unspool the idea from the end of the thread that Cotard has pinned down. You know, before I realized what I was. I knew that I still had big chunks of Bro's soul haunting me then, but if she got him right when he died, then those probably wouldn't have... The string of this thought is snarled and tangled deep in your chest, wrapped around your organs like warnings from the vet about not letting Beck eat tinsel or string. If you yank too hard, you could pull yourself inside out in the world's worst party trick. You try to be gentle instead. Imagine this moment, the comparison you drew up, where Rosa, Sophia, and your Uncle Dave didn't murder Bro yesterday, but instead chose the moment he died to end his reign of terror. You remember being there at his execution, hiding with Rose and watching to be sure that he was really dead and gone. You can still hear the sound of his boots in the airlock, the way Rose tried to hold her breath to stay quiet, but the fear kept making her fall back into small, terrified breaths. What if they'd shown up then? The bits of Bro probably would have gone away, or they'd have been unable to talk to me. I'd still have balancer shit like I do now, seeing the ghosts, feeling stuff, but... You say slowly. You can do that now. Cotard agrees, his words tugging at that thread of idea again. You know it's different, and so does he, but you have to put it into words. If it happened then I wouldn't have been a balancer. Obviously I could do this, but people might not have known, or they'd know and find out that I couldn't do shit. You explain, and these words feel like you dragged them up from somewhere deep, but you can't stop now that you've started, even though you're not rushing through the idea. I wouldn't have had Bro screwing with me my whole life. I could have figured things out sooner. I'm not saying that I don't like my life now. I like seeing new planets. I love the actual sailor stuff. I love Karkat and Solix, and I don't know if I would have ended up with this if I hadn't... You shake your head. You're losing it. But if it had been right away, then I wouldn't have had so much shit to get over. I could have done anything else. I could have let Dad fix me like he did everyone else, because they didn't have Bro shouting in their face the whole time, and I did. But if they'd got him right away, then I'd have been okay like they are. I could have said yes when Karkat asked me out in school. I could have kept my eyes. I wouldn't have had to save everyone all the time forever. You sit with your hands on Beck's side and think that he could have just been your guide dog and not had to be here for you having a nervous breakdown like this. If they could have saved me from all of that and they didn't, then why would they do this now when it doesn't help and it hurts me the most? I lost everything that they could have saved, and now I've got none of what was left. Now I'm a balancer, and I'm supposed to save people, and I can't. And everyone knows what I'm supposed to do. I can't ever be whoever I could have been, and worse still, I'm now weak as fuck. Enough that I apparently don't get a magic coin. Fuck them, stop helping, it's worse now! You're shouting by the end. there's this contrast between the person that you could have been, who you say has things that you've lost now, and who you are now. And by taking your ability to balance, by taking Bro away, you're saying they've made you weaker without helping you at all. Cotard sums up. I am weaker, you tell him firmly. Well, okay, there's two conversations to be had there. Firstly, I want to acknowledge that you have lost an ability that you previously had. Even if it's a supernatural ability that almost no one has, you have lost it. I'm not wishing to downplay the trauma of losing a part of yourself or an ability. I think we both have an understanding of how that feels. Cotard says quickly, gesturing with his metal hand towards your cybernetic eyes. Yeah, I get that. You nod. I'm by no means trying to say that just you now being in the vast majority of people who are unable to balance means that you've not lost anything. Absolutely, you've lost something. I'm interested in why you say that makes you weaker, and why your phrasing seems to imply that you don't think you'd be weaker if this had happened right away. Unless I'm misinterpreting what you said, of course. Cotard explains. You want to say that he's wrong, but you're not sure you can. I don't know, you admit. Cotard makes a go-on kind of gesture and waits. Obviously, all of this it was the whole reason Mom and Bro were testing me. Hell, probably the only reason I was born was because they were looking for someone like me. It's the reason I was in this situation in the first place, but doing well on their tests meant I got hurt less, and they took it out on my siblings less. When we got here, the captain wasn't threatening when she found out about me, but you all saw it was always on the table, and no shit, balancing has to happen or people are in danger from the void, and me not being able to do that is bad. Weaker. You explain slowly. Okay, so up until you're 13, there's no difference between you now and some hypothetical version of you for whom the other ghost had taken Bro's ghost away the moment he died. The time you said would have been best. Before then, both of you were relying on the senses you still have now to protect yourself and others, he says. Yeah, you say, uncertainly, not getting where he's going. So, what's the difference? He questions. This is obvious, isn't it? It feels obvious, but does that just mean you've accepted some idea without questioning it? Because I'm supposed to be a balancer. I was one. I had to balance and protect people. I had to deal with all of that and use that power to protect people. I didn't ask for it, but it's what it was. And now I'm a balancer that can't balance. You argue. Wouldn't the other Dave also be a balancer that can't balance? Cotard asks. No, because... You falter and remember that dream you had before. On Somnos, you'd been trying to work out how you felt about Solax, if you'd ever felt like that for a guy. When you slept, you'd dreamt about how things could have gone with Karkat when you were 13, instead of the shitty way they actually went. The kid you dreamt that you were is the one that you're talking about, the one who was screwed up from what his parents did to him, but was now out in a new life, with a father who loved him and could unpick his thoughts about not being straight and didn't have a dead bro yelling at him the whole time. Because he couldn't have done anything about it. You can't threaten someone's family for them not balancing if they can't. Can't force someone to do a job forever if they can't do it. Can't make them responsible for shit. He wouldn't have even known how balancing works. I didn't know all about it then. If no one found out, then he wouldn't have even got what was at stake. Look how everyone else in my family turned out. If I didn't have Bro and the ability to balance, I could have been anything, and no one would have known. The whole ship wouldn't know what I'm supposed to do and can't. You say quietly. But no one can blame you for losing the ability to balance. This wasn't something you chose. It's something these ghosts did to you. Cotard reminds you. No, that's not the point. If they'd done this then he could have grown up not knowing. He could have thought he had weird ghost psionics, and some of them went away when bro died. He could have dismissed the shit he knew from mom as some bonkers fucking theory because it was all top secret and no one talked about it. He could have shoved that all in a box and grown up to be anyone, just like everyone else in my family did. You snap. Inside you, the emotional dam and the tangled string of thought mash into one stupid metaphor for how you're feeling until they coalesce into one screaming concept. It's not fair. I don't get that. I know what I could do, and now I can't, and I know what the cost is. I know how much more Solix and Gamzee are going to have to work without me there, how much that's going to eat into their sleep, their sanity, how many hours they're going to have to do. I'm going to be able to feel what's wrong with the balance because I've spent so long training to see it, but now I can't do shit about it. I've got a whole ship's worth of sailors who are used to looking at me to help, and now I won't be able to do shit for them. And some of them are gonna die, and I'll know that I should have been able to stop it, but now I can't. Thanks to this job and what it did to my family, the whole secret about the void is out now, and everyone on the ship knows about me, and now they're gonna know that I can't help. Don't talk to me about disability. Yours isn't broadcast to the whole ship. Your medical records didn't get beamed to every device with Wi-Fi. That other me could have grown up into someone else, but now I'm me, and I can't do shit about it. I'm not retiring and taking up web design and pottery. I'm just impotent as shit and forced to watch the people I care about most risk their lives without me there to help. Of course I'm fucking weaker now. Those 3 ghosts ruined my life! You snarl. Sorry. I got really into it. Cotard opens his mouth, but you're not done yet. Don't give me shit about how it's weakness for me, but not for him. Like, I know I've got some kind of damage or whatever about having to save people, being obligated or whatever the fuck. Yeah, fine. I'm probably screwed up there. But don't tell me that I'm supposed to watch Karkat and Solix balance without me, put themselves in danger without me there to help, when I can see and feel what's going on and used to be able to do something. I meant to watch that and think that losing this doesn't make me actually weaker than I was. Like I'll just sit there and watch the void swallow them up and insist that I'm just differently abled or some shit now. Cotard sits there in silence for a few seconds, and as so often happens with you, anger recedes and leads a hollow kind of guilt. You know that you're right to be angry, but it feels like shit. Shit, I'm sorry. It's just... You look down at Beck, who's watching you carefully. You don't need to be sorry. Anger is a perfectly natural response. I didn't mean to imply that you haven't really lost something here. The word choice felt like a moral judgment, and even if there is something there, I didn't want to make you feel like you haven't been literally weakened in an ability you once had. You've been through a lot of horrible things in a really short time. Also, over a really long time, actually. Cotard adds that last part with a frown. It's a consistent shit show, you say, with a small laugh that you don't really feel. Oh, definitely. You're allowed to be angry and sad, to feel grief for what you lost and for Bro's loss. It's not fair. It really isn't. No one can reasonably expect you to just walk this one off like nothing happened. He nods in agreement. You're not sure if you should feel bad for going off like that, and you don't know how much he was actually making the point that you were raging against. Maybe it's just an idea in your head that you needed to punch out. It feels a little more like you know what you think, at least. You have no goddamn idea if you're doing therapy right at all. Is it a thing you can do right? You can certainly do psychology wrong. Just look at your parents. So, what do I do now? You ask, suddenly aware of how you're technically over the time you're supposed to have, even if it's only by a few minutes. Honestly, whatever the hell you want to do. Within reason, at least. Cotard laughs weakly. What? You say back. What I mean is that practically I should probably see you more frequently for a while, but as for what you should do, I think everyone owes you a lot of grace. Go do sailor or construction work if it makes you feel better, or don't if it doesn't. See your family, if it helps, or process things alone. After everything you've done for everyone, and everything you've been through, I think no one has any right to expect you to behave in any way besides what works best for you. Look after yourself, obviously, but I don't think you should worry at all about how you're supposed to handle this. If you feel up to it, you can work on the usual things we've talked about for dealing with stress, but don't be hard on yourself. Cotard explains. Yeah, okay. I can go home and... fuck, I have to tell my family about bro and... Cotard interrupts you. Yes, see, it's that I have to that I'm trying to say doesn't apply here. You have enough to deal with. The only obligations you have right now are to you, and if you really want to tell your family about them but can't face the conversation, then outsource it. It seems like you have two very willing assistants out there. You hear the words, Karkat puts the ass in assistant, come out of your mouth with no recollection of making the dumb joke. You have to hand it to whichever bit of your brain is responsible for putting together jokes like that. Still operating in peak condition, even at a time like this. Incredible work. Clearly, the last brain cell standing in your head right now is thinking about Karkat's butt. Honestly, that checks out. I should go. Thanks, and sorry for... yeah, you say vaguely. You stand up and go to the door on autopilot. When you open it, though, you at least have the presence of mind to block Cinnamon Toast from following back. Is she rounder? You ask dumbly as you look down at your therapist's dog. I think you have enough to worry about without considering Cinnamon Toast. I'll send you an email with an updated appointment schedule, Cotard says carefully. Glancing down the hall, you can see Karkat trying to crane his neck to see you from his seat in the waiting room, too far away to see the dumb expression you feel yourself make at him. Your final brain cell helpfully supplies that his face is at least as nice as his ass, but instead of vocalizing that, you manage to say, maybe send it to Karkat too. I think I might just pass out for a few days. If I've got your permission, then I'll do that too. Cotard nods. As a matter of fact, going home and passing out sounds great. God, I love screaming! God, I love ranting angrily! I felt that shit in my chest. Oh my god. This fucking paragraph, dude. That was so fun. I mean, obviously it's not fun for Dave, but it was fun for me to voice. Holy shit! Holy shit, dude! I was like, oh goddamn. I felt it in my chest and in my hands. God. I'm proud of that. I could even do it better, probably. Which makes me very excited. Man. That was fun. Anyway. Anyway. Man. I think the one thing is that I should have taken the second after the second paragraph, because the one after that, because he keeps going. But, shit, dude. I'm proud of myself. Whew! The actor.
wonder if I could adapt it into some kind of... I don't know. I shouldn't start thinking about this now. I'm gonna end up staring at the screen silently for like 5 whole minutes before I fucking... What I'm thinking about is doing like another take of it without any narration between, in sort of a monologue format, and just uploading it as a separate video for literally no fucking reason other than... And you know what else? That one car cat rant in chapter 36. That one too. I want that one too. I can't think of any for Solix, though. He's not really a ranter. It's mostly Dave and Carcat that are the yapping yappers. Anyway, I'm gonna stop the VOD first before I just stare silently at the screen for like 5 whole ass minutes without saying anything or ending stream. But yeah. Oof. Dave is still going through it. How many times have I said that Dave is going through it, man? The shit don't stop. He never gets a break. We did know this. But that doesn't make us happy every time it continues to prove itself. Anyway. I'm going to go ahead and start the VOD uploading. So... I'll catch you tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. Guys! Or one guy, because you're the only person here. Tomorrow's December! Tomorrow's December?! Tomorrow's Jade's birthday! Happy birthday, Jade Harley from Homestuck! I love Jade too. She's great. And I like my voice claim for her being Iris Sagan from I, the Somnium Files. It just works so well. They're just such, you know, cute, excitable, weird girls. Like, my note for Jade's voice for this is just do Iris. Just do Iris Sagan. Anyway, I'm gonna head out now. Have a wonderful night. I'm saying that out of obligation, but I might, if you want to do a voice chat or something, because it's just you, I'm gonna think and order. I'm gonna eat a food. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm hungry. Dude, like, I was, like, barely halfway through the chapter, and I was, like, daydreaming about like, mac and cheese and Reese's Cups. So I was like, God damn, I need to grab something to eat after this. It's like, damn, fucking hungry. Yeah, holy shit, dude, that one paragraph. Can't get over it! I can't get over it! As it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, God, this goes so fucking hard! I'm never gonna be over that paragraph. It's so good. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. Oh, man. Alright, I'm gonna head out. Have a good one. Whew.